Now, Alan, I'm anticipating you and I are going to have a different view on this. This Freedom Convoy or Convoy to Canberra that has converged on us this week, I have no doubt that there are people in the crowd that are here for legitimate reasons, and I have a real problem with these vaccine mandates. But there seems to be this ludicrous mix of demands, and there's no doubt that it's been infiltrated by a bunch of lunatics, and they are really being disruptive to everyday Canberrans' lives and
I think whenever,
businesses.
Stephen, you're right. Whenever you get a protest, a sort of mass protest, every person who's got a grievance of any kind thinks he can join in. The concern here, of course, is a very legitimate concern in that while the Prime Minister says vaccination is not compulsory, there are people losing their jobs. And there are people unable to go into a restaurant or can't go to shop, and that's got to be resolved. This is a very difficult issue. And, in England, for example, 140,000 nurses have lost their jobs as a result of the fact that they weren't vaccinated. Now, I know the government over there have called off all these restrictions, and I think we've got to start seeing what the European governments are doing. The restrictions are being removed. This business about masks and mandates and so on has over the top, but someone has to sort this out. And I agree with you, the rat bags have joined in. But at the centre of it and at the bottom of it is a very, very legitimate concern. If the Prime Minister of the country says vaccination is not compulsory, and if therefore there are citizens of Australia and voters, dare I say, who are acting upon that, and then as a consequence are denied the freedoms available to others, then I think the government of the country has a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. But I wonder what jurisdiction he has, because, most of these mandates, well, all of these mandates have been implemented at a state level, and we've now learnt that the Prime Minister has really no power in this country.
Well, that's correct. Therefore, he ought to call the Parliament together and give himself those powers. That's what he ought to do.
Yeah,
If this is a national issue, he should exercise the powers in the Parliament to make sure that those powers reside with the Commonwealth, and therefore there is one rule for all of Australia. That's the problem with this National Cabinet. It should never have been instituted, the National Cabinet, but at the same time, he actually, unloaded onto all of these people powers which have undermined his own. And so you've got the West Australian situation, you've got the borders being locked down. It's been absolutely ludicrous, a colossal failure. And he's given the premiers powers that they should never have and which they're not entitled to.
I think that's a fair call. But this week we've seen situations where, and I hate wearing masks, but the law here in Canberra at the moment is you've got to wear them when you go into a premises. And there was a poor girl behind the counter at McDonald's getting abused by a bunch of them yesterday because she insisted that they wear masks because that's what her bosses have told them she's got to do.
Also, that's dead right, because also you remember we've generated during this coronavirus thing the other dob-in culture. So there are people working in shops, there are owners of shops who are terrified that if they don't insist upon people wearing masks, which are the law, someone will dob them in, they're fined $15,000 or $20,000 and they're out of business.
Yeah.
So there are many corrosive elements of this whole restrictive nature towards the virus. Everyone knows that the Omicron virus is nowhere near as lethal as the other virus. It's time that we let people get on with their lives and live with it. And from day one, the World Health Organization issued edicts that 99% of all cases in relation to the Delta virus and this virus were mild. 99% of all cases. We should say to people, we've got to learn to live with this, be responsible for your own health, be sensible about the way you conduct your life, but get on with business and don't impose limitations upon people which deny individuals the right to live a normal life.
Absolutely.